Hey, Blue Table fans, it's time for Fatherhood Part 3. Bye! And as I mentioned before, I have 4 kids through my first marriage to Tammy. Tammy is absolutely amazing. We had a tremendous time together. We're still co-parenting very successfully. We're both very outgoing individuals. We're high-fiving each other about how great we are. And, you know, even when we were getting divorced, we're like, we are going to crush this divorce. And, all right, so then after that, I met Luli. I have known her for 7 years now. And Tammy and I both ended up with people who are very much different than we are. Outgoing, strong-headed, very much fiery individuals, extroverts, and really to the extreme. And when we were out together in public, it was really great. No one could really understand, well, what happened? You both seem so happy. It's like, well, when we're together outside, we are a certain way. And of course, as all of you know, if you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship or a marriage, then of course you have a way that you are with your social group. All right, so I meet Luli. Luli is very much different. She's a very reserved person, very introverted, and it has been absolutely wonderful. It's been, she's very calming, and I've definitely changed. I've definitely changed as a person because of her. And I've certainly become more tidy. And I'm generally probably one of the most neat people that you're going to meet. But boy, I've upped my game since then. It's really something else. And she's really an amazing person to live with. And Audrey, child number 5, she was definitely planned. And it was a completely different experience. We had a great doula. That's the number one thing that I would recommend if you're going to have a child, to the father, is to have a doula. When I was first started, I think our first doula cost $250. That was in, the early 2000s. And now I think it's like $800 or even more to do it, but totally worth it. Definitely get a doula, find out what it's about. People make fun of it on like movies and TV shows, like, oh, a doula is a witch that does whatevers, and I can't even repeat the thing that I heard. And I've had nothing but an amazing experience having a doula. It's mostly for the mom. It takes off a lot of the pressure. She's a real professional. She knows what she's doing. And quite frankly, when the actual labor is happening and when the pushing starts and the baby's coming out and the woman is howling, I gotta tell you, that may not be the best time for a man to be around. And I certainly understand why in times past they used to just get rid of the guy. And I think with some training, a man could be better prepared to go into it. And of course, that's what they're doing nowadays with, I guess, what you call Lamaze classes, if they even call them that anymore. Get some education, get some practice, and be more involved in the actual process. And for me, I think that when the child is first born and is very young, like the first 3 months, that's really time for mommy and baby to be together. And just for me, not telling anybody else how to live their lives, is for me, it's a time to shift into the mode of supporting the mother and maybe go to the next circle out and start taking care of business in more practical ways, i.e. secondary support, cleaning the house, making sure business stuff is all taken care of, and make sure that mommy and baby can cocoon up at night. And just for, again, not other people should do this, but just for me, is I go sleep in another room. And of course, as like I said, as Willow came along and the business was doing a little bit better, and with Audrey, I was able to have more flexibility of schedule. But not all dads have that. If you're a dad and that baby is there, but you got to get up at 6 a.m., well, you may have to find different accommodations. All right, so anyway, but I did want to talk about Willow just a little bit more. She was definitely my darling princess, and we got along really well. She was always so affectionate and just thought the world of me, and that was really, really nice. And I, of course, had calmed down a lot and got as a mellow equilibrium as a father by that time. So I would get up in the middle of the night and be like, oh no, let me do it. And it became fun. And I guess that's like anything, is when you first start, it can be difficult, but then after a while you become a bit of an artist at it, like playing piano or water skiing or whatever it is. And so, like everything, being a father is just practice. You're not going to be a natural at it. Maybe some people are, but the majority of the regular workaday Joes, we just have to learn new things and get good at it, like any other skill. And it takes 90 seconds to change a diaper, even a gross one. And you just got to be prepared, get in some practice, and just take care of it. All right. Okay. So Willow loved animals, and we had what we called Willow's Pet Shop. Probably about 15 terrariums, aquariums, bird cages, and her first bird. So the first thing we got was just like a little tank with goldfish. Don't put goldfish in just a bowl with no aeration in there. That's not good for them. That's not cool. So we got a little 10-gallon tank, and of course those grew and grew, and that was really a marvelous experience for all the kids, and to have all these little pets and stuff and feed them and clean. And really it was Tammy that ended up, I think, cleaning the tanks most of the time. I don't remember ever doing it. And boy, Willow really wanted that parakeet, and she would not let up about it. And of course, I don't give in. I always say yes to begin with, but maybe modulate that time a little bit. Say the answer is yes. However, I think that we should enjoy the pets we have now, or whatever it is. And of course, philosophically, I'm all about that instant gratification. Remember the story? How I got my mind messed with? Like, don't wait, enjoy your life now, do the thing now. Don't put it off, because who knows what will happen in the future. So the day of, we finally go to get her parakeet. She picks out a blue parakeet. We get all the accoutrements for it, and we get home. At the pet shop, they had clipped the parakeet's wings, and they showed it. They were like, and of course they, what is that called? They get them accustomed to humans handling them. Birds do not normally let you just pet them. They have to get used to that. And so the bird flies up a little bit, but it just goes plop, goes on the ground, right? Its wings are clipped, can't fly. So we get it home, we go in the garage, we're handling the bird, we're playing with our new pet, and of course it sort of flutters to the ground every time. And it's of course used to human contact by this time. And so I think, hey, wouldn't it be great if we went out in the backyard and so grass and sunshine? It was a beautiful day. So we get there, and the bird just goes and flies to the top of a tree. And I was like, oh, you little sneak. You could fly that whole time. And she was just dumbfounded. She was just heartbroken that her bird had just escaped after all this time, right? Can you imagine? As a child, I think she was like 5 or 6. Those go to Jonah's room. And they can just be stacked right on top. So we go back down to the pet shop. We get another blue parakeet. Of course, that first parakeet, joke's on him. You're not going to survive one winter here in Utah. I felt bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not laughing at the plight of this poor animal. And so we go get another one, and of course all is well. And she had a box turtle and hermit crabs, and I mean, you name it, a lizard. She had all this stuff, and that was really cool. A great experience, irreplaceable. Of course, in an alternate reality, I lived with my girlfriend and had 2 dogs, and had a wonderful life and went on vacations and went places and all of that. I think it takes like $250,000 to raise a child. Never mind all the labor as well. It can be bone crushing, really, and it's certainly very rewarding. Don't get me wrong, I don't regret it, but sometimes I do sort of like, you know, for the sake of academics, I think of, well, no, I don't think about that. Other than just now mentioning it, I don't really think about that other universe. And of course, if you just have your kids and raise them, then yeah, you're free of it, and you can go live your own life. However, that was not for me. I had a little girl on my vision board, and it was, you know, I had a time where I was making this giant vision board thing of like, well, what would I like my life to be? It was very challenging, and not trying to make it that way or have goals or go and try and engineer everything, but just for the sake of intellectual exercise, spiritual exercise, figuring out, well, what's inside there, and putting up pictures on the wall and seeing how they made me feel. And I would take some of them down and be like, yeah, that's really not for me. Like politics, for example, that was the time where I was like, oh yeah, politics are unpleasant. I really don't want to have anything to do with them. And and for that reason, I really try not to watch the news. And boy, some people, they will not let up about it. And you are going to know about it, and you are going to hear about it. So anyway, I meet Luli. We've known each other 7 years. I think I mentioned that already. And really an absolutely amazing human. I just appreciate her more and more as time goes on. And of course, we are married now. And I have tons of comments about the institution of marriage. That's another topic for another time. But we do have a daughter together. She's 5 going on 6. She's like a brunette Shirley Temple. She is, what's that called? There's a name for it. Not perspicacious, she is precocious. That is correct. And she's very outspoken, talks to strangers, and just loves her life and wants to live everything to the max. And it's really just wonderful. And of course, Luli had an adorable pregnancy. It looked like she had a volleyball under her belly. And she was a great mom even before the child was born. And it's her first, so obviously, you know, she's really attentive. And so, what else? Oh yeah, during the labor, and by the way, this is old hat for me now. Like, I am good at labor. I know all those exercises to relieve the discomforts of pregnancy. By this time, we had a doula all set up, but during the labor, Luli went inside herself. She closed her eyes, and she was completely silent and unmoving for 4 hours. And and the nurse was like, well, her vitals look good. I guess this is how she's doing it. And that was it. And then when her eyes popped open, she pushed that girl out. Made it happen. And so it's really wonderful, and it's been obviously much easier this time to know what I'm doing, and that helps to enjoy it more. And when the baby's first born, you get like one of those little donut things, a baby bop, and for feeding they get what it's called a bumbo. It's like a little seat where they but it's formed. It's made out of like this rubbery stuff, and they just boink, and they kind of schlork into it. And they love that. They can sit there and play with their food or whatever. And with Audrey, and we agreed on the name easily, by the way. Naming is like a big one. And like everything, really, I think you should defer to the mom. And just, that's her thing. The mothers are the arbiters of life and death, and with good cause. because that's their miracle. And so anyway, we agreed on the name really easily, and from age 1 to age 2, I had Audrey at home with me, and I took care of her, and I also ran the business, which was amazing. I didn't think I could do it, but guess what? I did it. And so to be a stay-at-home whatever is, I don't think it's that hard. It's hard for someone who is disorganized. And I think oftentimes it's such a great, what's the word I'm looking for? It's such a great privilege to be able to do it that I think oftentimes a person doing it might think that maybe they aren't contributing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Total contribution. Probably the best type of contribution. However, with some professionalism, it's not technically very difficult to do it. The child does sleep a lot. It's possible to just learn how to handle the situation, and of course to take it like a real job. And it's not 24/7. There's lots of downtime. There's lots of ways to be able to do your own thing and still take care of this child. And of course, I know from experience, because of my perspective, and of course this one instance of a year where I did both. I took care of a baby and I did everything to do with the studio on my own. And it was really cool. It was a really wonderful time for me to bond with her, and it's just been really, really, really cool. And I'm having two wonderful experiences now. I'm having the experience of a father who has a young child, relatively young at this point, and also the experience of a father who's seeing his kids get to the edge of the nest and go out and flap their wings and go fly away. And my eldest daughter is just absolutely amazing at this point. She got a roommate, got a job, went, and she's just running her own life. And she had us over to have a barbecue the other day, and it was really amazing. She has her act together, and the other kids respect her and admire her, and I do too. It's really fantastic. And well, and at the barbecue I had all 5 of them together, which for me is just absolutely fantastic. It's a feeling like no other. All right, well, that's all I got to say about fatherhood, guys. Yeah, I think that's all my basic advice. If you want to make some comments below, maybe giving some more topics to talk about, that would be really fantastic. I would really appreciate it. And of course, thank you very much for being here, for participating. In terms of the company, Blue Table Painting, I really I'm seeking meaning rather than expansion at this time. It's and that taking that course has been very fulfilling. So I don't have a lot of clients. I don't have I don't have hundreds of projects going at the same time. It's all just so much better and so modest. Very down to earth. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and I just know you got at least a little bit of inspiration for the day.